hello. Welcome on this Sunday afternoon.
Oh, yeah, we're back with
live. We're live on YouTube, Callum.
Yeah.
First of our live podcast.
Yeah, so we moved to YouTube for the last podcast, and now we're doing it live because I know you've had some success recently with the Zoom down live, so we thought we'd give a go doing the podcast live as well.
Well, I think one of the main reason we wanted to do this was we never really fancied ourselves as editors, Callum. It took too much work, didn't it?
Yeah, well, that's definitely a huge help. Like I don't think people realise it takes longer to edit one of these things than it takes to make it in the first place. A lot longer in some cases. I don't think either of us really have that time, and so the live thing was a bit daunting. We thought, would it necessarily work? But it's worked for Zoom down, so hopefully it'll work for this. And the added bonus, of course, is if for those who are listening to it live, watching live, they can join along in the conversation in the chat, and we can take some questions from them perhaps and put them to our guests.
Interactive. Yeah. Yes, I think that's a big important part of it. I'm wondering just why my video is not spotlighting. Are you seeing me spotlighted, or is
with the viewers are seeing it.
Just because there's the two of us, this is the way it does it. It's just staying on your screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very interesting, and a lot has happened in our community since the last time we did this.
Yeah. So
Toby, that time.
Yeah, so there's been a bit of a break since the last podcast. I know we had. Obviously, you've been very busy with Zoom down, and I think everyone's been very busy with current situations and stuff. But yes, things have changed a lot since last time. Zoom down, I think when we did the last podcast, had only just started. Now it's just finished. Well, the first series has just finished.
4 or 5, I think it was. Yeah, it was very, very early on, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we've gone through the whole of that experience. In terms of
it does.
Yeah.
So ages ago, we've got no co-events and things like that. It's life. There's the things that we normally had to talk about on the podcast. There's sort of been none of those.
Yeah. So we
a very different few months, really.
Yeah. So the podcast we normally talk about the last event that's just happened and the next event that's coming up, but obviously. Even with the big gap since the last podcast, there hasn't been any. But we're hoping there's going to be some soon. We're obviously every plan.
Waterford, where was Waterford, West Yorkshire? No, not West Yorkshire.
No. Yeah. So Waterford's the first one that we've got coming up soon. Hopefully. I mean, obviously, all plans at the moment have a little asterisk, a little question mark next to them. But yeah, so the next one that's meant to be happening is going to be in Waterford on the 15th of August. So I think that's only 3 weeks from today now. Obviously, with it being in Ireland and the travel restrictions as they are at the moment, it means it's likely only going to be those based in Ireland who are going to be able to attend. But if you are based in Ireland and you're interested in attending and you're comfortable with the the safety and stuff, I'm sure it'd be really great if you could attend.
Waterford's a beautiful place, and they have a large venue. I think they're going to have a very socially distanced event.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It's funny the travel restrictions the events are going to be just very, very local, aren't they, at the moment? I'm not expecting any overseas visitors to either side of the water at the moment.
No, it doesn't seem likely, unfortunately, which is a shame because part of the good thing about events is that we do have some guys from the UK going over to the Irish events and some of the Irish guys coming over to the UK events. It's sort of shame that we can't have that at the moment, but I'm sure we'll get back to that in time. And
we go Isle of Man. That's what we need. Just somewhere in the middle there. There we go. We all just going to the Isle of Man.
Yeah. I'd say we have to give big props to those who are attempting to put on events at the moment because it's never easy to put on an event. There's a lot of work that has to go into it, organisation and stuff. So to do that at the moment with all the things you have to think about, all the measures you have to contend with, and the uncertainty as to whether the event can even happen or what restrictions you might have to place on it, what facilities you might have to make available to allow people to use the right things.
Well, I know Owen did a lot of work. He was very emotional when I neglected to mention it on Zoom down the other night. Sorry about that, Owen. We are very sorry.
You were busy with
work.
running the show, I suppose.
Yeah, and a lot of emotional energy you put into these things. I mean, that's like I put into Zoom down. You and us with this, you do invest yourself into it, and it's a lot of hard work. And so fair play to, as you say, fair play to anyone looking to put these on.
Yeah, and we wish Owen the best of luck.
We are in the circumstances we're in, but needs must.
Yeah. So we can only wish Owen the best luck with the event. I think big props to him for being the one to put himself first in line to take on this big task of trying to get the ball rolling again. So that's it's a lot of responsibility to take on, and if it works out, it's something that's going to benefit us all as a community. So I think we definitely owe a lot of thanks to Owen for that, and I really hope it goes well, the event. If that does go well and other events are possible, there are a few others lined up.
On your schedule, what are you looking at?
So James Robinson is hoping he can still pull off the West Yorkshire event. That's going to be on the 5th of September if possible.
I was right then. I said West Yorkshire. I was right.
So that's the next one. So Waterford's the next one up in 3 weeks' time on the 15th of August. Then I think another 3 weeks after that, I think it will be. You have West Yorkshire, that's 5th of September. Then 10th of October, we've got Blackpool, that's Mark Mills running that one. And then I've not cancelled the venue yet for the Goat Down event that was meant to be happening in Leeds on the 7th of November.
There's never been a Goat Down before, has
No, that's why I really want to make it happen if at all possible, because it's taken a long time to get a Goat Down event on the calendar.
I was interested in doing it for Zoom Down, but I won't steal your thunder then. We'll do it after your event then. So.
Well, I still think if the event does go ahead, that could be like a good little preview of the event, maybe drum up some interest. We'll see. I think come the West Yorkshire event in September, I think I'll have had to made my decision then in terms of whether or not I can go ahead with it. At the moment, I'm just trying to keep an ear out for the latest news and stuff and make the best decision I can. But
as usual, you guys that live in Countdown Heartlands, you see some, because there's going to be more you can go local than.
Yeah. Well, obviously, it's not just attendance numbers. Like I'd said before with the Goat Down event, one of the reasons people haven't done it before is they're worried about attendance numbers. And I said, let's just put it on, and if 3 people turn up and it's a rubbish event, then okay, we know it doesn't work. We won't do it again. So the attendance numbers aren't the issue. It's the making it safe for everyone who comes, whether that's 2 people or 20 people. It's if I'm the guy putting this event on, I have the responsibility to make sure I'm, making it safe, making it distance, supplying hand gel and all that sort of stuff.
That's it. There's a lot more to do these days, isn't there? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not just sort of put on a few games of Countdown and sort of let everyone take care of themselves. You have to be seen to be doing the right things, and
Yeah.
But they're interesting times that we're living in. It's I said that before. I said that 3 months ago, but it's they really are, and we've had to sort of adapt and try new things. But maybe it's sort of brought the community closer together, having to get online like this, and the fact that we're doing this online now, and we're trying to make it a little bit more multimedia. And I suppose with that in mind, we should probably introduce the new member of our team who's going to give us a hand with maybe some of those the fabulous voice of that you will know from Zoom Down already.
Yeah.
Who is James Rowan.
Yeah.
James Rowan, are you there? Welcome to the Countdown podcast.
Hello. Yeah, tried the stream in the background to kind of know my cue when to come on.
I did it too. Callum will do it next. So we're all going to do it at some point.
That's right. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the team. Good to have you on board. You've been the fine voice of Zoom Down, friendly face that people like to see to tune in. So
yes, thank you. It feels, I suppose quite familiar. I guess this is quite a common routine of getting everyone on board before the start of the podcast. Zoom Down rather, and getting individual people on. So, but no, it's very nice to be here and being kind of a different role for a change rather than just being the lexicographer. Not that I don't enjoy that, of course, because I do massively.
Cool being a lexicographer. Come on, you can put that on your CV. Just going, I literally was a lexicographer.
Yeah.
They don't interview too many of those. I bet you see.
Yeah.
So
well, the lexicographer role can sometimes lead to others, as I'm sure we'll find out later in this podcast.
We hope to. Yes, that's it's so many career trajectories, James. This could just be the start of your stellar media career. Now you see, so you're learning all the jobs, which is a good way to do it.
Yeah.
And as you say, Callum, we'll probably be speaking to our very special guest tonight.
Yeah. I mean, I've already nominated James for an Oscar for cinematography for his dramatic camera switches on Zoom Down.
Yes, my semi-dramatic camera switch to tell people that their words aren't valid.
Yeah. So if that's
I don't know why. I just had a spare camera that I was using in case my laptop camera failed, and I was looking for a perfect moment to see if I could do a switch through OBS. And finally, the moment came.
Well, it was very stylish, yeah, and I had to use it in my montage. But
yeah,
now that you are the host, James, so your first duty will be to admit our very special guest for this live podcast. Callum, I'll let you introduce him.
Sure, yeah. So our guest on this episode of the podcast is none other than Damian Eadie. So he's probably best known nowadays as the series producer of Countdown. But it's probably easy to forget that the guy's also a former series champion of champions, runner-up. So we've got a lot to talk about with Damian, and I think he's with us now. Hey, Damian.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Hi, Damian. Welcome to the show. Slightly different from Zoom Down. This we're a lot more sort of sober and maybe. But you were away. You only got back this morning, so you've had a busy couple of days, did you?
I got back about 90 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was very good. I'm exhausted.
Business or pleasure? A little bit of both.
It definitely pleasure.
It's definitely pleasure. That's good. Right, yeah. Good, nice. Meeting up with some old mates or something. We'll use our imagination, will we?
Sure.
But I don't know about you, Callum, but I suppose the first question that I always like to ask any of our Countdown guests is, what is their earliest memory of Countdown?
Yeah, I think that makes sense to start with that. I mean, there's a lot to get through with Damian, but I think probably the really interesting part of your story, Damian, is how it's evolved over time from lots of different roles. So, yeah, just tell us about that if you would. Like, how did you get started with Countdown? Do you remember where you first?
As a viewer.
Yeah.
What's your first memory? What's your first memory?
My dad was pretty strict. He was very strict, actually, and we couldn't. When you came home from school in those days, lots of kids watched Grange Hill, which most people yeah, that sort of thing. The music was written by Alan Hawkshaw, by the way.
Brilliant! I love the music. Loved it.
It's called Chicken Man, if you're interested.
Nice.
I'll stop being a geek now, by the way. I played the piano a lot, and so I got in from school. Sort of sent it into the back room to play the piano for 2 hours a night, blah, blah, blah. And then no TV really of any. He thought sort of anything like Grange Hill and that was sort of filth, and we couldn't watch it. Catholic upbringing,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Obviously, which doesn't happen these days in my life. It's all gone. But so it was on TV. It was either the horse racing, because we had gambled a lot, or it was Countdown. So he was sort of brainwashed into watching it, really.
Immediately drawn to it, or was it?
It's all that was on.
Something that you didn't have to play, or you didn't have to practice your piano scales.
No, I got a sort of half an hour grace of watching the telly, and then I was sent into the room to do the piano. Yeah, so Countdown was it was on. That was the only thing that was on in those days for me to watch that was in the parameters of acceptable.
What year are we talking here?
Beg your pardon?
What year are we talking here, roughly?
From when it kicked off.
From 82, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I have strong memories of the very first show of not of the show of what happened, but just that. Was it just Welcome to Channel 4 or something? Wasn't that what they said? This is Channel 4. They just said something like that and put on Countdown there, like no explanation needed almost.
No.
Here you go, here's something completely different, in a Monty Python kind of way, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But so I don't know how much I remember of those early days, but I just remember it being something completely different.
Unless you were really wealthy, Paul, you remember that if you wanted to turn over, you had to get up off a seat and press the button on the television set.
That's right.
Do you remember that? Yeah,
I do. My dad, he employed a snooker key, a one-piece snooker key. So he was so accurate with it. Because I remember we had a Ferguson TV. It was quite expensive. It was a good Ferguson TV with eight buttons. Of course, you didn't have eight channels, but there were 8 buttons on it. But he was First time, got it first time every time. So
It's like a prototype TV remote, Mr. Snooker
Sure.
Cue.
it was, yeah. He still has that cue. It's a lovely cue. I don't know how it hasn't warped over the years. With all the painting you did, but it's still a beautiful bit of wood. It is. So I'm gonna get it off him someday. And when did you realize that you had a bit of a talent for it? Then? How did you get into it?
I guess it was over a period of time when I watched it sort of really regularly, and then I used to win quite a lot at home. And yeah, so I don't know why. I mean, this is year. When did I go on the damn thing? 94, wasn't it?
Yes, that's good.
Yeah, so I just got into it. I played a lot of Scrabble. I've always been a geek in that respect, to playing word games. I did crosswords a lot. Papers, the sun, frozen water, 3 letters, I something E. You can't fail, can you?
Yeah.
I was the mirror. And me and my granny did the mirror. Yeah. The
mirror. So yes, I just enjoyed it. Really, that was all. And sent off a form one day, and that was that.
Where was that to? How did that process all work back in the day then?
I've no idea how I found out how to apply, because they didn't advertise in those days. I must have made a phone call. I don't know. I must have made a phone call somewhere and asked, but I sent the form off. And in those days, it was a piece of A4 paper with nothing on the back.
Yeah,
that's how small the form was. Now it's about 26 pages with
it's a lot.
The Gettysburg Address in Japanese. It's ridiculous, but
disclaimers and stuff now, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we're not responsible for this, and this, or this. So yeah, it's your own fault. Yeah.
So I sent the form off. No idea what the gap was. I imagine it was a few months, and I was dragged off to the Midland Hotel in Manchester to do an audition. It was Mark Nyman who took the audition.
Wow.
Okay.
Who was the producer of the show.
Yeah.
I got a letter. I knew I'd done well, apart from there's one round. The 9-letter word was vertebra. And I said I've got 9, and it was verberate, like reverberate. And I disallowed it. I thought, oh my God, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I was obviously too cocky.
Yeah.
And it was disallowed, so I thought I probably failed. But I got a letter a week later saying, well done. Get your backside down to Leeds, so I did.
Nice.
Were they both valid, verberate and vertebra?
No, it was a verberate, isn't it?
No, verb, that's what I thought, yeah.
No. So I played verberate, like reverberate, just thought that's got to be in.
Yeah.
I got 0 points.
Vertebrate's a very hard spot.
Yeah, sure.
On mine, sure. It reminded me of mine when it was instead of sunflower, I said unflowers. And I went, oh, sunflower. And they went, yeah. No, we knew what you meant. Thankfully, you don't count the conundrums really on the auditions. It's like,
No.
And wait, so you did this audition with many other people? Was this like a pub kind of type thing?
About 7 or 8 of us.
Yeah.
I don't think it beats the Midland Hotel, but it's quite posh.
Right.
It's very posh, actually. I think it's at least 4 stars. So someone from South Shore in Blackpool being in there, I think they started to nail down the tables and furniture. When I walked. But yeah, it was pretty much the same format as what we did for years afterwards. Except I just did that with seven or 8 other people. Don't remember seeing any of them again. So maybe they all failed, and I got through.
Off. Yeah, you were the best.
Yeah, and then you get down to Leeds. Really, that was that. Terrifying.
Callum, your hometown, Leeds.
Yeah, that was the old hometown of Countdown. I know when I did my audition, it seems most people nowadays audition over the phone. When I did mine, I went down to the ITV Yorkshire offices. We were just in one of the like meeting rooms or whatever at the offices. There were 7 or 8 of us.
Who was it, Callum?
Who was Holly, I think. Was it Holly Simpson? I think.
Oh crikey! Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's only 7 years then.
Yeah, 2013, I think. Yeah,
7
2013.
years.
Yeah.
Call me a nerd. Very good.
Yeah.
You're good at the old sums, Damian. Yeah, I thought you were more a letters man, but you're good at the old sums as well.
Yeah. So I remember one of the other guys that I auditioned with. He was there when I filmed. I think he was on 2 or 3 shows before me. But yeah, most people speak to nowadays auditioned over the phone. I don't know if it's just because it's easier to audition people around the Leeds area or whatever. But
sure, and it's business as well, Callum. I think.
Yeah.
Because we were going to, people were going around the globe of Great Britain.
Yeah.
And when you go to a hotel and book a conference, they call it a conference room.
Yeah.
They want 300 or 400 quid.
Yeah.
A jug of water's about £1,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you want lemon in it, that's another 500.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, and you can do all that in a day. Factor in if you're going to say from Leeds to somewhere really far, you know, I don't know, down south, Southampton maybe.
Yeah.
You need an overnight hotel.
Yeah.
So the 100 quid are there at least. Another day out of work, coming back the next day. So business-wise, it costs a lot of money, and you can get back and say, how many passed? Nobody.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, thanks for writing off £2,000 of ITV's money.
Yeah.
You know? So I think a lot of shows have gone that way now, where it's over the phone.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Maybe encourage more competition on the day, but you know, you get sort of say 8 or 9 people in a room, and they're all kind of looking at each other, going, "All right, yeah, you're the threat." You know, that kind of thing. You maybe get this sort of the alpha types maybe squaring up more against each other and kind of sort of competing against each other. Whereas over the phone, there's none of that. There's no pressure, there's no induced pressure, but there's the pressure of, oh, I could mess this up, or there's maybe nothing to fire you up.
No.
You know, like looking across the room and going, oh, you're my main rival today. I want to beat you.
I definitely prefer the old method of seeing people face to face. On a telephone, obviously you hear them, but you can't. And it's not a beauty contest, but just the whole demeanour of how someone conducts himself. You see a lot more about people in the flesh than you do on a telephone.
Of course.
And also, it helps you recognise them because you see them for an hour, and you get to sort of lock them in your head and the face and all that stuff, and you get to a sniff of the personality. And on the phone, we've had people in the past who've clearly cheated on the phone. You know, clearly cheated. Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
Would you consider doing it over this then?
A video call.
I can put it to the team.
A little bit less. It's a little bit less.
Sure.
You can, less room to cheat, I think, on it.
Definitely look at the best room to cheat. I'm not sure whether the more senior people would have MacBooks and Zooms and whether they know what to do, but that might be being rude. Maybe they know more than I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be a way forward. Definitely. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Because at least then you can kind of, which I mean, it is a part of it. I'm sure that the sort of how someone looks. I'm not saying, as you say, it's not a beauty contest, but you're kind of wanting to get a look at someone's demeanor.
Yeah. And
isn't that more and build up a picture of their personality to decide where to put them into the schedule, and that surely gives you an idea of that, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We just
the researchers are they taking notes on us as well? Is it a sort of like Paul was friendly or something as well? Or there must be other little notes.
Back in the day, we did all that all the time. I remember a lady, bless her, I have no idea what her name was, I don't care. But we had a dictionary, no laptop, just a dictionary. And she was sat to my immediate left, round a table of about 9 people, Piccadilly, Manchester it was. And then she offered a word, and I dissed her out. I said, it's not there. And in those days, because I'd done the audition so often, and I set it, I knew what was in and what wasn't in. But it looked really arrogant to say that's not in. So I faked the dictionary. I faked to go, just to placate them thinking I was being arrogant. Even though her word started with Z, I'd open the first page, and go, it's not there. And she went, she said, nonsense, give it to me. And she snatched the dictionary out of my hand, ripped about 8 pages out of it, knocked a big tumbler of orange juice all over the floor. Crikey, you'll go down really well in the studio, love.
Yeah.
So that sort of put her out of the game,
You could be you're as good as Elliot Miller, but you do that, you're still not getting on. Like,
yeah, sure, yeah.
We don't want you on the telly if you're going to rip up. Like we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is a part. So I mean, a lot of people talk about game shows these days and how it's sort of how they've sort of gone very personality driven. People on the chase and all, people saying, "Oh, it's maybe because of me. I wasn't funny enough on the day," or something like that. Are all shows going that way?
Well, not certainly not ours. I mean, I can't speak against ITV shows, but I work for ITV. We can't afford to be too selective with people because, as everyone's gleaned over the years, a lot of our contestants, a good preponderance of our contestants, myself included, somewhere along the line, with an ability with letters and words, are on the sort of the class as being on the spectrum where they've got that, and the social side of it doesn't come out. Mm-hmm. And that's fine, because we're not there to hear you talk about your last holiday in Mauritius for 10 minutes. It's playing the game, Mm-hmm. So we'll never go down the route of bow ties and razzmatazz over.
Yeah.
No chance. No point.
It's the quirkiness of Countdown. I think that's kept it going as well. It's the fact you're not just seeing the beautiful people, you know.
Yeah, and I always said, you know, you can play against yourself, because if you've never got more than a 6, you can play tomorrow and try and get a 7. And we used to have people that, there was a lady called Viv. I go off piece so much.
It's my wife.
Shut up. But there was a lady called Viv. She ran the Countdown office every night for 15 years. The minute the credits had finished rolling, hello, Damian. So I got so and so, and then she rattled off at school. So I got 85. Okay, she gave herself 10 points for tea time diesel letter, but I didn't want to break her heart. And she played against herself, you know. And in fact, I mean, she lived on her own. But in fact, if you're doing a quiz game, and obviously people get a little bit older, you know the answers in the back of your mind. It's like, and before you've got to get, they've given the answer.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, oh, Christ. So with us, you know, you've got the whole time to play, and I think that's quite unique in a lot of quiz shows and game shows, you know.
Yeah.
And you're still playing the game later on in your head, aren't you? It stays with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Well, Callum, will we look at Damian's game history? I know you wanted to go through some of that. So when he got to the studio, what happened next, kind of type thing?
Yeah, because I think that gets forgotten now, because a lot of the newer generation, they just know you as the producer. People forget that you were a series champion and a champion of champions finalist and all that.
That was all fluke.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to ask you what your playing experience was like, and how do you think it compares to what people's playing experience is like nowadays?
Wow, well that's a good question actually, because once I got a job on Countdown, one of the first things I wanted to do was to try and make the experience a lot better than mine. And that's not decrying people that anyway, they're all dead, so I could say it now, so it doesn't matter. That's a joke, by the way. They're all dead. That's Michael, and Mark isn't dead, but yeah. I went to the in those days there was no green room for a start. Right. There's a male dressing room and a female dressing room, and I was dragged to the male dressing room, and I walked in, and there's a little kid in there. He was about 14, taking his t-shirt off, and he was with an elder boy who was about 19. It was clearly his brother, and I thought, I must be playing one of these. There's no one else around, Yeah. And I've not had a chance to watch the show. I'd been thrown in into the dressing room to get changed, and 10 minutes later, I was in the studio sitting on the set, and I was like, crikey! It was just like, wow, there's no relaxation time. It turns out by a long weird coincidence, this boy I played called Manny Grillo now works, when we were allowed in the office again, he works at ITV Yorkshire and sits about 10 desks away from me. Right. Which is really weird, isn't it? So I hope we both came full circle. He doesn't work on a TV program, he works on some sort of screen stuff. I don't know what it is. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so I played, and I'd had no time to get my head around it at all. It was good in a way that I wasn't allowed to get nervous by sort of rocking backwards and forwards like I do anyway. And
we're doing my way, or doing this.
Yeah, my legs are like this, or even now you don't want to see what's down there. It's shocking.
Irish dancing, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. But no, so I didn't think the experience was great. It was just bang, 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 and it was exhausting for me, really, and mentally exhausting big time.
Yeah.
How many shows did you film on your first day?
Crikey, I think it would be 4.
Mm-hmm.
Half-hour ones, but 4. And I had a problem with the studio light because I've got really sort of yellowy, vile, sickly green eyes. And according to the people that couldn't go, oh, your eyes are weird. The pigment in green eyes are a lot more susceptible to bright lights. I squint in the sun the minute it's like 16 degrees outside.
Oh, yeah, I remember it like that.
These things on the studio ceiling were baking my face. I couldn't hardly see. It gave me a massive headache. So it was difficult for me to sort of relax and things. But the whole experience was great. The staff were great. The people were great. But I felt like I was on a conveyor belt. Yeah. And I'm sure that's probably what other people think now. So we had no green room. I didn't meet any of the contestants I was playing against unless I walked back and got my shirt changed and they just appeared from somewhere. There was no camaraderie or, how you doing, mate, or all that sitting together nonsense. Yeah. You felt a bit on your own,
Yeah.
No.
How do you think that compares to with what's happening sort of right now with the social distancing? Then maybe it's maybe a good comparison to make, because
Yeah.
you don't have green room at the moment either, do you?
No.
Yeah.
That's been used by the researchers because we've all had to keep 1,000 miles away
Yeah.
from each other.
Mm.
So, no. Diplomatically, put it this way: if I was applying to be a countdown contestant today under these circumstances, I wouldn't want to do it.
Mm.
And I'm not going to lie, you know, I'm not going to say, "Oh, it's great. It's as good as we can make it."
It's just the best of a bad job, isn't it? Really, that's what it is. Yeah. No, well, I think people understand that, and it was just a contestant had mentioned to me that there was no green room and stuff, and it's that maybe they may be slightly missing out on that the experience that I had. I mean, I'm a social animal, and I had the run of the building and got
there's
to
no,
know
there's no audience. There's no audience. There's no selfies with Rachel and Nick, all that. So the whole there's no warm-up guy telling his bad jokes. So the whole experience is a lot less sort of fun than it could be. But we can't do anything about it, you know.
No, I know it's not. It wasn't meaning to be. I wasn't meaning to be unkind by making the comparison.
No.
It just occurred to me that it's, as you say, that's what you tried to make that better. Then you tried to make that a warmer experience.
I did ask my exec producer Peter. I volunteered to walk down the studio floor and do a striptease, but they dismissed it out of hand for some reason. So I have tried to push, go the country mile to help. But.
Yeah. No, but I mean, back in the day, that's what you thought it was an experience that needed more warmth.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I've got time. I've got a tale, but you probably think you can't say this, but I'll tell you anyway. Because the female dressing room was 3, 4, 5 doors down from the male, and nobody mixed with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was eventually working on the program, I knew that day there was only one female contestant, and there was 4 males. I thought, this poor lass is on her own.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I won't say hello because they'd be sat there terrified like I was. So I knocked on the door, and there was no answer. And somebody went past and went, she's definitely in there. So I knocked again, no answer. So I walked in. I opened the door and walked in. And the reason she didn't answer was because she was with her husband and she had something in her mouth. And that's God's truth. Yeah.
So she was having lunch, was she?
She was having lunch, yeah. So I told Richard, and for the next, I'd love to find the episode. I don't want to see it. For the next half hour, there was so many innuendos that she had no idea that were in the program. All throughout her episode, it was riddled with it. And Whiteley was grinning his head off at the camera to me and stuff. And we knew, but they had no idea. Very immature and very naughty, but it happened, yeah.
Countdown behind the scenes.
Yeah, sure, shocking, terrible.
So yeah, back to your playing then. So you had how many games? How many games did you have in your prelims?
I played 6 and I lost game 7 to Suzanne Miles, her name was.
Suzanne Miles. I've been playing some of your old classic games now on.
Yeah, they're crap, aren't they?
You're great on the conundrums. Your conundrums are rapid.
Mm.
Yeah.
I might have been ahead of you in certain ones with newer words and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you've got me a couple of times on the conundrum, so I was very impressed with your conundrum speed.
I think you won your series final, didn't you, with 2 conundrums? Because it was back in the days when there were 2 conundrums in the final.
Yeah, there was 2, yeah. I didn't know the answer. I was just twitching. That's all it was. And the buzzer went off, so I just came out with the first word that came into my mouth, and it happened not to be vulgar. Yeah, I don't know why I could do those. I have no idea.
I do like the scrambles in your grand final. They're very, very football. Liam Brady and Letitia.
Yeah, they were football, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And Letitia ended up being a contestant on the show many years later, didn't he?
And Dictionary Corner.
Yeah, probably the first man to do the hat trick. He's been a conundrum, dictionary corner, and contestant.
Those are the kind of guests I like, Damian. The ones that, obviously A-listers, whatever, in their chosen field, but obviously fans of the game as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I do like those. Those are because they've a lot to say and they've a lot to contribute. I think some of the guests maybe with just there for the plug. I don't warm to as easily.
No, I totally agree where you're coming from.
Well, in terms of the guests, you have had one of the closest experiences with them of any member of the team, because you, for a number of episodes, you've been the lexicographer in what we now know as Susie's seat, I suppose. But
yeah, sure.
what's that role like? Because that's such like an integral part of the show. that I think we don't get as much insight into as maybe we do into the other roles, and especially with the proximity to the celebrity guests. What's it like being in that seat?
I didn't enjoy it at all.
Did you not?
No, because one thing doing the job, and as what I do now, about 10% of what I do now involves sort of trying to spot a word. Because there's you guys know what we're doing Zoom down.
Yeah.
There's so many things that you've got to juggle, left, right, and your head's all over the shop. But when I did the dictionary corner, Susie was having her first daughter.
Right.
And we'd been down to Oxford University Press to see if there was any sort of decent replacements that could come and fill in. And they were all massively academic. There used to be an advert on TV for Tefal, like non-stick coating, where people had foreheads that was 4 foot tall.
Yeah.
And the guys were like that. Everyone was sort of so massively sort of academically brilliant that it was like talking to a cardboard cutout,
Yeah.
So we came back and thought, what should we do? And I said, well, so Mark said he could do it, and then they said, well, John, the boss, said, well, you can do it, Dame, and the best thing for me was I just had my first son, and I hadn't got a pot to piss in terms of, oh, sorry, and so I got 200 quid extra a day for doing Dictionary Corner.
Nice.
So it was brilliant, Yeah. And also, because I was a tramp, they'd sent me down to in Leeds, with one of the wardrobe ladies, and they bought me a ton of clothes. I had shirts and jackets and underpants for the first time in my life.
You getting your inside leg measured and all that?
Oh yeah, suits you, sir. I went back twice for that. It was brilliant. So yeah, I got all that stuff, but you had to put powder on your face, which I wasn't too keen on, because it was bringing me back to a time in my life where I won't go there. Joke. But yeah, I just didn't like playing it all the time. And Richard used to set me up and wind me up, and what does that mean, Damian? And he knew I had no clue, I'm like, and because it was a paper dictionary, and I've got hands like shovels, and the pages in the dictionary were like tissue paper.
Yeah.
So you're going like this, and everyone's waiting. You go, come on, man, and you feel the pressure. I can't find the word. I'm looking at. I just didn't like it. I liked getting extra cash. I didn't like being on TV. There was that guy for telly and stuff. I didn't like wearing makeup. I didn't like wearing really weird shirts and stuff because it wasn't me. I wanted to, Guns N' Roses t-shirt or something.
You're the guy that wanted to be pulling the strings from behind the scenes and always wanted to, rather than having your face out the front.
Definitely, but it was extra cash.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say no, because I'd how many by then? About at least 9 by then, I reckon. I'm joking. Just a 5. But yeah, a lot.
You have many Sprogs, don't you?
Yeah, I've got 5. Yeah.
How'd you find time to have 5? Or the will? My word. Yeah, but I want to concentrate on your playing career, because I was reading earlier on that you had there was an interview done with you in 2007 or something. I was reading. And you were sort of talking about your playing history, and I thought there was a great parallel with Callum Todd,
right?
In terms of your attitude, sort of, you didn't know who you were playing, you didn't practice, you didn't care who you were up against, but you just sort of went in there with all guns firing, kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
And you felt that was maybe a sort of an advantage to you.
It was to me, because I'd been expelled from school, and I sound like I'm having a counselling session now. Therapy over the internet. Thank you.
Vocal talk, man. This is there is a little bit of therapy in here as well. It's inbuilt.
No, but at school, we were written off. I was in South Shore in Blackpool. I think it's still classed as one of the most socially deprived areas in Britain. It was a shithole, and it still is. But so I went to school, didn't have the equipment, no one gave you a chance, and I sort of rebelled as I got older. And when I was watching Countdown as a young lad, I could see there was, a laboratory technician, or all these people that were way above my, I had no, paperwork to say I'd even been to school. I had a couple of O levels, Catholic stuff, RE and English. The rest I didn't do. So
bit of an inferiority complex, then, kind of thing.
I just didn't mind being the underdog, because I thought, I've been an underdog forever, so it wasn't bothering me, I didn't want to watch the show because I knew I'd come up against someone who'd been to Harvard or whatever it's called down there, Oxford, or something. And I thought, I won't let it bother me. I'll just keep out of the way and just get down there and get a pen and a piece of paper and play the game,
I thought that was a very strong parallel with your attitude and your story.
I suppose, yeah. I suppose I never expected to be able to win as much as I did, I suppose. And I saw, obviously, it was a different era. I had in between the heat games and the finals, I had Apterus. Obviously, that wasn't around.
I just meant your approach, I suppose.
It's terms of attitude, yeah. I suppose it's like, I think it's because you're just going on there for the experience, really. Like, you're not chasing stats or I want this number of points or I want this record or whatever. You're just going there to enjoy it, have fun. If you win, even better. But yeah, it's an experience you basically only get once. I know some people have been back for the Champion of Champions special episodes, whatever. But it's a great experience. You're only going to have it once, so might as well enjoy it while you're there.
Connor's been on a lot, 20, 21 times or something like that. Zarte's up there as well, isn't he?
Well, yeah, Connor and Zarte have been on a few
episodes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of exposure. Yeah. Harvey Freeman, I suppose, as well. Wasn't he on a lot of episodes?
Yeah, yeah. Well, but I suppose the person who's come back the most to the studio is Damian, even not as a player. Yeah.
How many caps have you got then? Really? Then how many episodes have you done?
In playing the game?
How many times have you been in that studio? How many, does that count as a cap? That must count as a cap, doesn't it? Your work?
As a contestant or just...
As a contestant or working, how many episodes have you done?
Oh, God.
Working-wise, when I started working on Countdown, we hadn't done 2,000.
What is it?
And I guess we're about 7,500 now.
Yeah.
So you're over 5,000 then, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm over 5,500, yeah, which is enough to warrant putting me in some sort of home, really.
Yeah. Also, if you just think of it as a proportion of the amount of Countdown episodes have been, you've been for like more than 2/3 of all the Countdown episodes ever have got your stamp on them in one way.
Strange. I'm amazed they didn't find me. But it's a lot, isn't it? A lot.
Yeah, but you still kept the interest all this time. Like you still seem genuinely interested in the game. It's not like a bit of a busman's holiday sort of thing.
Somebody from Sky once years ago offered me a job on this game thing, and I thought I'd never want to leave Countdown because I don't really like telly. I don't watch it at all. I don't honestly. I don't watch it. I find most of it crap. And I watch it on Connect, as we all do.
Yeah.
There's not many things where I can sort of think, wow, a lot of it's just drivel, and I don't watch it, and I don't like the industry itself either. To be honest, to be quite honest, I don't. It's just not. The people aren't nice. Not all the people. The ones I work with are great and that. Yeah. But as a sort of thing, it's not my it's not my thing.
You do come across as a bit of a sort of maybe a maverick within your industry. You're not the typical.
No.
Your type, are you really? If you put all the producers in a room, you're probably not like a lot of them, are you?
I'm not like any of them, mate. If you put all the producers in a room, I'd probably kick fuck out at 15. I'm only joking. I'm kidding.
But that's good. That works in your favor as well, doesn't it? I mean, that allows you to sort of not, to ignore the rules and maybe sort of bend those the odd time and stuff. And keep it fresh.
I was at Media City the other week, and everyone now seems to wear 3/4 length tight jeans, no socks, and brown slip-ons. It's just honestly, it's just like where's Wally? I can't be doing with that, I can't be doing with it. So it's not my thing. But I stayed in it because no one else would employ me. Clearly.
So when did you? What was your first day on the job then? So you were a player, and how did you end up getting your first start?
I was working for the civil service at the time, who were called the benefits agency. Now they're HMRC. They pay basically the massive. I shouldn't say basically. Sorry. There's a massive. Office sort of compound in Blackpool at the time that processed all the benefits for the whole of the UK. And in those days, they were done on pen and paper, the booklets you filled in, And so I worked there, and it was every morning in Blackpool, apart from the pleasure beach, that's all you could aspire to was working for the civil service because there was nothing else there. Yeah. It was a seaside town. 7 months a year, it was shut, So I worked there. Call went one day. Damian, it was John Mead, bless him. fancy coming up? There's a job coming up on Countdown, because it was only on 6 months a year that time. January to March. Then it was 15-1 from March to June. So some brainwave at Channel 4 said, let's put them on back to back all year round. So they doubled the number of episodes from 125 to 250. So he said, do you want to come in for a job interview? There's a job. And I said, right, yeah, sure. And so I was like, oh God, so I got to go to Leeds again. You know, I better get a wash. And so I went down to the job interview. I went to Yorkshire Television. We sat down at 5 to 12. He put a pint. This is no word of a lie. It's gospel truth. No HR or whatever they're called these days, personnel or people. Me and him, fag, an ashtray, and he put a pint in front of me, and he went, right then, do you get PMT? And I said no. He went, right, you can start on Monday. That's gospel truth. That was my job interview. And after that, we had
times have changed, haven't they?
They have changed, but that was the job interview. To get PMT, no. We had about 6 more beers. I got on a train back to Blackpool, obliterated by about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then that was it. Yeah.
So then you started as a researcher.
Yeah.
And what was your daily routine like then?
The daily routine. There was. I think we.
What was it like?
We'd not even got the internet in those days, so it was the guy came around with our post, which had he had a huge sack as well. But that's enough about his genital disformations. And we ticked it all out on the table, and it was all application forms. Back in the day, people wrote poems for Nigel Rees or facts, all that stuff. That was all viewer contributions. So there was stacks of stuff to open, you know, and go through it. And I was like a glorified pencil sharpener for a good 6 months, you know, just doing all this admin crap. Really.
Yeah.
And then, that was just sort of that, really. And then, obviously, after time, I started to go to do auditions for the contestants.
Were you learning the ropes and learning all the jobs? Learning every bit of job?
Not to start with, no. After about a year, I got 3 months probation. My civil service job, I was getting 12 grand. And when I went to Leeds for Countdown, they put me on 16, which 1,000 years ago was a huge increase.
Oh yeah, that's a good few extra quid a week, isn't it? Kind of thing. Yeah.
I was like, great, I can afford to get toothpaste now. I was like, what thing? And so it's great. And then they gave me 3 months probation. I passed that, God knows how, and then they put me up to 16 and a half. So I got another 500 quid. So it was takeaways, alcohol, you know, the whole thing. It was just, I lived like an absolute pig, which is nothing's changed actually. It's brilliant, but yeah. After about a year, they said, "Oh, all right, you know." And then John was great for me because he pushed me. You know, John Mead, bless him, he pushed me quite a lot. And I'm not sure.
Explain him for the uninitiated, because it's gone back a few years. What was his role?
He was the exec producer of the show, and he was from Scarborough.
Yeah.
He was instrumental in bringing it to Yorkshire Television with Marcel and things and all that stuff. And he didn't devise it, but I think it was him that decided it was going to be a full 60-second clock, you know, and things. But he was a good man, hard but fair, big drinker, and a good guy. But he didn't. I don't think he particularly enjoyed. He didn't embrace the rest of the team as much, you know. And
he liked kind of thing. He probably liked you, did he? Then
he liked me because I think they all did in Leeds because I come from Blackpool again, you know. And Leeds can be. I know Callum was watching, but you know, Leeds is like let's say it's not Oxford, you know, or you know those darling places down south. So it's up north, you know. So, but when I was down in, they thought I was in Blackpool. They thought I was upper class because I had more than 7 teeth. So to come into Leeds made everyone feel great about themselves because I was like pure scum. But he liked me. I think he saw a bit of himself, working class, you know, Dosser, whatever else as a kid and stuff. But a bit of a brain. So I think he sort of took to me that way, you know. So he always pushed me and gave me extra stuff. So my first big responsibility was to go and sit with the editors and watch how we edited the show. And it was all done on tape in those days. And once I've cracked all that, after about hundreds of episodes, months and months and months, I was allowed to go and do my own thing. And I just progressed. And by some weird fluke, I overtook the guys that were already there. They were already producers, you know.
Well, explain that weird fluke, because that sounds like it needs fleshing out. It wasn't wasn't a weird fluke then? Was it because of your relationship with him?
No, John had gone by then. He left. But we got a new guy, Arch Dyson, who's a brilliant bloke. He's a legend in TV. If you Google his CV, wow, big time. But and then I put forward things like, let's stop 3-month series, let's make it 6-month series, because we're getting number 1 seed's got 8 wins, number 2 seed's got 6 wins, number 8 seed's got 2 wins, and this contest's already over before we even played the game.
Yeah.
You know, it's no good. So I put that forward and he accepted it, so that we went to 6-month series. And I think in the first series we had 8 Untitled Champs, so it worked. My sort of weirdness worked. We had a better quality of contest in that respect. And just little things I just sort of shoved my nose into, and they must have thought Dame's a decent guy, he knows what he's doing. And I think Mark
enthusiasm, I think, is a key trait as well in wanting to make changes and wanting to.
I was just pushing,
you could just turn up every day and do the bare minimum. You obviously weren't doing that. You were you were putting a shift in.
Sure, yeah, I've always been a grafter, yeah. But I think Michael, bless him, God rest his soul, he had health issues. He was a big guy. I don't know what his numbers would be in terms of weight, but crikey. But if he was made out of gold, he'd be a billionaire, put it that way. And Mark had health issues as well. So I managed to sort of, not deliberately, but just sort of went past them in some respects, you know. And the people that were, don't forget the bosses of these programs, they all rely on the staff to help it happen, you know. And it's their interest to make sure the best staff are looked after, but otherwise they're in the shit if all the 2 people have gone. It's really, what's the boss doing, you know? Yeah. So
you're the translators of things. Yeah, you have to put it in their language, don't you, as well?
Yeah. So I just sort of got through all that, and then people put faith in me, and Richard Whiteley was massively supportive of me, massively. I can't praise that guy enough. He to everyone that ever listened, because we had several different exec producers. It was always, Damian. He just wouldn't stop saying Damian's good, Damian's good. And he blew smoke up my backside so much, massively, bless him. You know,
it's a force of personality thing as well. I mean, you have a strong personality. I mean, that's obviously served you very well through the years. You've built up these interpersonal relationships with very sort of key people as well, like Richard Whiteley. I mean, obviously, can't stand God, really.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, he's probably the main reason it took off, I would say, is he not?
Yeah, he's a legend, Richard. And he loved the show, genuinely loved the program. He wasn't just doing a job. He would come into the office when we weren't filming. He'd come into the office and just put his jacket down, his car keys, read a few bits of mail, you know, how's it going, guys? And just soak it up, you know, just wanted to know what to say. Did people laugh at that joke that he came out with the week before, you know, just like that. It was so absorbed in the whole program, massively. Yeah.
Yeah, he's someone that I've looked to more and more, I suppose, as from certain comments from you, and that he wasn't as bumbling as he made out.
No, that was fake. That was fake, mate.
Yeah, it's a great fakery.
Did I tell you the 15-1 story?
You may have. Go on, tell it again, sure. We may have it.
It's coming to the countdown office. With me, Mark, Cindy, Ritson, bless her. She's not dead, but bless her, because I love her to bits. And Michael and Richard, and we'd play 15-1 on a piece of paper. We'd score, D for Damian, and for Mark, and for Michael, and William D. Stewart would go, right, number 2, no, and if you got the answer right, you'd get a tick, and Richard would regularly go on 25 question streaks, tick, 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 and we'd be up here like, at the top of the column with 1 or 2 or 3 each. He'd be on a second page, They just walk out cocky. It basically say, you might be good at anagrams, guys, but I'm the king of quizzes. Yeah. But no, he did that all the time. So when he was on the show presenting it, looking like he was a bit of a Biggins meets, Krusty the Clown, it was all part of an act, It wasn't.
It's beautifully done. Then when you know that, and looking back at it now, then it's fascinating to watch, and I have a lot more admiration for him. I mean, I fell for the act. I grew up. He wouldn't have been my favorite, I suppose. I loved the show. I always thought he was a bit crap, a bit useless. But now that I know he was intentionally a bit crap, it kind of makes it very cool.
Yeah. But you're right. No, it wasn't intentionally crap. It was intentionally bumbly, stupidly.
Yeah.
But a lot of times he was crap as well, bless him. But he didn't care, because he wasn't bothered. But no, great guy. And don't forget, people forget this, but I think he interviewed for Channel 4's sort of political programs. He interviewed like sort of 5 consecutive prime ministers on the trot.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't get that gig if you were a fool, no chance. You know what I mean?
But he played a very different side of himself, I thought, on Countdown. He did. He I remember he would go, 5. Oh, let's hear about this. Let's hear about this 5. And you're like, I've got 6. Like, what's this? But he made the 5 sound like it was great. Like, let's hear this 5.
Yeah, bless him.
And I love that. I love that enthusiasm and the way he would, the way he'd sometimes get cross. Really cross, like like none of that. That's messing, like your teacher kind of would. And he's telling grown men to sort of behave themselves, or he'll sort them out, kind of thing. I like that.
Yeah, bless it. No, lovely.
Do you think, was that one of the biggest challenges the show's faced in your time? Do you think moving on after Richard's passing?
Mate, it was devastating. I hate it. I'll probably have to cry if you talk about this. It was shocking. Absolutely shocking. I won't go into I don't want to talk about the death thing because it was. It was terrible. But Richard was beautiful, man. He was great to me. He was absolutely fantastic to me. I know. We did. He'd always come to the Christmas party. Carol was based in wherever, somewhere Maidstone, somewhere beginning with M down south. Probably was Maidstone.
Down south, right? Okay.
Yeah, and but Richard would always come to our Christmas too, and we got a fancy dress one year, and he came as Henry VIII, and he looked the part big time.
Yeah, I can picture it. Yeah.
He had the whole roof on and all that stuff. It's rotund belly, and all that stuff.
The right shape, yeah, isn't he? He's kind of round.
Yeah, it was brilliant. But we'd have a big meal and we'd go out to pubs and bars in Leeds. Don't forget, this is maybe December 20, so all the offices are breaking, and he's surrounded by people asking for autographs and pictures. He never once said to say, anyone bugger off. It sounded all night, talking about the show and that. I've never seen anyone be like that since then, actually. I've never seen anyone enthuse so much about Countdown as him. Yeah. It was a genuine bloke. But he was great. And then obviously he got ill. We went to hospital. I didn't go in because I'd had a few fatalities in my own personal life. Very similar. Well, not similar, very close to the time of Richard being dead. There were falling out dominoes, and I was in a mess, so I didn't go in. But when he'd gone, bless him, it was shocking, really, really hard to take. And we went back to work, and then there was posts galore. It was weird because every day they go reception call. There's some flowers in reception for you, and there was just people were sending everything to the reception, wreaths, all this stuff, bouquets of stuff, and oh my god, it was weird. You couldn't possibly get away from the grief of it because you're wobbling in it every day. Letters came and we just said we can't do this. We've got to go home because if you don't go home, you'll never get rid of it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Time just had to pass, I suppose, didn't it? Really, I mean, you left it a little bit. But I mean, he was so important. I mean, I've been watching it since day one, and he was, even though I didn't really like him, because I know I had my criticisms of him, I realized how important he was. Yeah. He was the show.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a funny story about Richard?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, good. I wanted to tell you this one because I'm trying to think, what can I talk about? I'll be boring with tips off everybody. So, Friday night in Yorkshire Television, this is before ITV took over, and there was a big bar, and everyone going there on a Friday night, and sitting have socialise and have pints galore and things. It was like the hub of the sort of like the Facebook of Yorkshire TV. Everyone had a drink, and so all the people in the office had gone down to the bar. Me being a sort of Uber geek, I'm still sat on my computer at sort of 4:45, and everyone else had gone, and a phone call went, and it was a lady from PR at Safeway's supermarket who've since gone bust, but they were like to the uninitiated, they were like Sainsbury's or Morrison's, just a big chain store of supermarkets in the UK. And she said, "Can I speak to Richard Whiteley?" I said, "He's not here." She said, "Oh, can you get hold of him?" I said, "I've got his number, but I can't give it out." "Well, can you pass the message on?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "We're opening a new store in York tomorrow, a new Safeways in York. And we've booked Trisha Penrose, who was an actress off Heartbeat and Emmerdale and all these sort of really Yorkshire things." Anyway, she was popular at the time, I believe. I don't know. Anyway, we booked her to open the store, but she just cancelled, and we're in a right mess. I said, okay, give me your number, I'll ring you back. I rang Whiteley and said, Richard, what are you doing tomorrow? They're opening a store in York. He went, oh God, I can't stand that. He said, I'll get pestered to death. And I said, I said, they're giving you £1,000. You know, okay.
All right.
This was like 1997, a long time ago. Even then, £1,000's good money. And he said, well, they want you to do an hour and a half. Tell them I'll do half an hour. I'll sign some photographs, and that's it. But half an hour a day, no more. I said, okay, rang the lady back. I said, yeah, I spoke to Richard, and I could smell the desperation in her voice. I said, he said he'll do it. He'll do it for half an hour, but he wants £3,000. So she went, I'll ring you back. She rang me back. That's the deal. So I got straight back on the phone to Richard. I said, Rich, she was crapping her pants about this thing. I know she was desperate. So I told her you wanted £3,000 and she accepted. And for the next 10 minutes, he was just pissing himself down the telephone. Hey, you naughty boy, you're a bad boy. Like, laughing his head off, So I screwed Safeways for £2,000, and he went bust not long after.
You're a better man than me. I would have told Richard 1,500. Yeah, I've got you 1,500 quid. So yeah, you should be happy.
He got the cash, but bless him, he came into the office the next week with a bag full of stuff for me.
No.
Yeah, champagne and all sorts of aftershaves. A lot. Well done, boy. Pat me on the back, because we took him to the cleaners. Bless him, yeah.
Brilliant.
Right, well, Callum, I suppose maybe it's time we should go to James, really, and see how the chat's been getting on.
Yeah, sure. That's one of the benefits of doing this live, like you've seen with the Zoom Down. I know you've been following some of the Zoom Down, Damian, and getting involved in the live chat. See what the guys have been saying. Have you been keeping an eye on that, James?
Yeah, so we've had a few questions kind of come in, and I'm just going to have to kind of scroll back and look through a few of them because we've had quite a few. We've had Graham, former champion on the show. Graham's asking, if I suppose Countdown was kind of being started anew, would there be any kind of big changes that you might have made? I suppose compared to how it's done now, perhaps. Like if there's kind of tradition or things that have kind of kept going the way they are since when you've arrived that maybe you've not thought of changing or you can't change. Is there anything that you do differently now?
If it started tomorrow, I've said this to loads of people, so I'm not going to hide from it because, I'm not going to be dishonest. If it started tomorrow, I probably wouldn't think of having a celebrity guest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Controversial.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's controversial. Not because I don't like the celebrity guest, but Mr. Dinosaur here, from 19, wherever I've been there, how long, whatever it is. But now it's 2021 on the cusp of, almost. The whole celebrity thing's just diluted to the point where a lot of people haven't got much to say anymore. You got your tits out on Love Island. Do you go in Dictionary Corner on Countdown? No, you don't. So it's sort of the people that could do something of any sort of credibility or decency, it's gone. We're at the thin end of the wedge now,
Yeah.
It's just people who are famous for being on YouTube or for shagging someone's husband or whatever,
Yeah.
Would you have like an alternative rather than a celebrity guest? Would you have a different person?
Well, if you look at the what's that thing called with the guy with the big ears? Come on, I've lost the plot now. What's it called? Pointless.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, Alexander. They've got the guy, the tall man. He does Susie's role, doesn't he? With his laptop.
Osman,
so they've become sort of the people, celebrities in their own right by doing what Susie does. Really. So I don't think you need a celebrity guest. I think we probably bring more out of the skills of Rachel and Suze.
Absolutely. I mean, I suppose, Rachel and Susie have both very much kind of made names for themselves now. They have personalities and they really add something to the show. So, I can understand that completely.
Yeah.
With filming at the moment, has it been with a guest or without? How's that been working in terms of the?
It's been with a guest, but they're sat in Doncaster. They're sort of, what's the thing? It's 2 meters. But the way it's not helped things is where they all know they confer and go,
They can't nick Susie's words anymore. Is that what you're saying then, really?
They can't nick things anymore. They're shouting, 7, you deaf bastard. So that's just, the interaction's not quite the same, really, but it's still there. What we try to do as well is get performers in So some people have been asking me who's coming on in Dictionary Corner. I don't know who they are. I keep getting messages from people who say who's. So I've not replied to them, so I don't care. But Paul Zennon's on soon, and he does obviously magic, which is great. That's about 7 or 8 episodes. I can't remember because I'm old. I think Dr. Phil Hammond does health, COVID stuff for about 9 episodes, and the next block we do, coming back for the first time in a billion years, is Richard Digance, who's going to do loads of poetry, and he's going to play some guitar and do funny songs.
Wow.
But then, Damian, sorry, I think that negates what you said a while ago about getting rid of a celebrity guest, because these guys add to the show. They're clear. They're all those 3 that you mentioned are clearly fans of the show.
They are, yeah, they are. But it doesn't negate it in terms of filling a full year, Paul. I don't think.
Yeah.
No, but if you could get more of those types, then I think they really add to the show, and folk love them.
If you can find them, then brilliant. But Rufus Hound was going to
Give us the job and I'll try then, yeah. Give us the job.
Rufus Hound was going to come as well, because he's a poet and things. Rufus overslept and didn't turn up. But it's a small, we've racked our brains, unless, we're looking in the right places. But it's a small percentage of people that can do that sort of thing.
I know what you're saying, and you need a fair few of them for an entire series, don't you?
Yeah. Especially after COVID. Because if we get someone who's... I won't name names, but someone who sort of sits there and say, blah blah blah. What have you done for the last 4 months? Nothing.
Yeah.
You've got no tale. So these people are doing things that don't need a history or a tale, or based on the fact that they'll be locked in their house for ages. They can just perform what they do, and I think that's far more interesting and enjoyable than I work for a charity and I wrote a book. Because to me, I want to shoot my head off.
I want them talking about Countdown. I want them talking about their love for the game. That's and their skills, their complementary skills, and how that, how all that plays. That's what's fascinating for me. It's like Dr. Phil, obviously a very, very, very clever man, a funny man, but a man who uses his words, who engages in wordplay all the time, and that's very interesting for a Countdown fan.
Yeah,
more
of those would be great. Because back in the day there was a lot like Nigel Reese,
it was a great example of it. Like he was,
Giles
didn't like him, but Giles did it as well.
Yeah,
he showed you his sort of eruditeness and through his comedy, I suppose, shall we say?
But they seem to be more prevalent in those days and a lot more thicker on the ground than they are now. That's all.
I think that's just because there's so much more media and stuff nowadays that 20 years ago the amount of spots on TV or there was no online media as such was so limited that to get one of those spots you had to have something about you. Everyone who was in that pool of talent was in there on merit. So if you were famous for being on TV, you must have been doing something entertaining to do that, so you could do the role in the guest spot. Whereas nowadays, because there's so many opportunities to get yourself seen on TV or YouTube or Netflix, whatever, that you don't really necessarily need a lot of entertainment skills to do it. So
a lot of substance. You needed more substance. Who was the husband and wife team? The sort of he was very smooth. They were actors and they would do little routines together.
That was Martin Jarvis and Rosalind Ayres.
Brilliant. They were brilliant, but you could see they acted. They were thespians for their 5 minutes. They did something absolutely amazing, and that's what you want. It's kind of like Callum was saying. You don't want just someone who's that face from Love Island. You want someone with a bit of substance and entertainment ability, be it variety. I mean, I think what you're saying about trying to get performers, that's not a bad way to go going forward, even when you get the crowd back, because you have a live audience. That's get people who enjoy a live audience.
So, Martin Jarvis used to do when I say performer, he would read out Just William.
But he had a lovely reading voice, didn't he?
Or was it? Yeah, Just William. So he performed it basically. It wasn't just a tale of it wasn't like this, someone talking garbage for far too long. It was decent stuff. So more of those, great. Yeah, I love it. If we can get more of those, brilliant.
There we go. Going forward, looking for those types, but they are, as you say, they're few and far between. They're people who used to be on the telly were on the telly because they were talented. They had trained for years and done the boardwalks and all that. So
some of the other questions we had sent in before the live chat and stuff were a lot of people were interested in some of the technical details of how things have changed over time. So be that with the actual format of the game, so from the 9-rounder to 15, and then the 15-rounder format was changed. The series finals, like your series final, Damian, had a 14-rounders. That's now the series finals are the same format as the rest of the series.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were interested in how those decisions were made, what the thinking behind them was, and do you think the format will continue to change in future, or do you think you've found the winning formula for now?
It went from 9 to 15 because Channel 4 wanted a 45-minute show.
Yeah.
It gave us about 5 minutes notice. So I remember Richard was there. We were in Newcastle at the time, at Time Tees, and we were trying to work out what we were going to do. And Richard wanted 13 and 14 rounds to make way for, bless him, what he called banter fodder, which was verbal diarrhea. And we've done the maths and worked it out. I thought, well, this is suicidal, because if the target at Cecil is 106, and everyone goes, yeah, got that, you know, we can be hours under running by the end of a program.
Yeah.
And you can't just sit there and talk crap for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, we got 15, and then after the 15 was settled down, they changed the advertising breaks at Channel 4.
Right.
It used to be 3 parts of 5, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then no, it didn't. It used to, I forgot what it used to do. I should have done my research, but it changed. Anyway, it changed, and then we got to what do we have now? 3 rounds in part 1.
Yeah. So the first tea time teaser comes in after the first numbers. Is that correct?
It's 2 letters and numbers now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Part 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, it's quite short. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm right. So it was 3 rounds of 5. It was 5 rounds 3 times in the old days. 5, 5, 5. Now it's 3, and it's 3 and 6, and you think I've worked there long enough. 3, 6, and 6. But yeah, they wanted the part 1 to be shorter so they can get an advert on quicker.
Right. Yeah.
So we had to sort of rework all that. So it's not because we've changed it for the sake of it. It's because we're told to. I mean, if you, Channel 4 buy the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, if Tesco bought 8,000 trillion beans of tins of Heinz beans, but said to Heinz beans, we want the tomato sauce to be blue, Heinz ain't going to say no.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So you're given the parameters you need to fill, and you just do your best to work within what you're being asked to do. Yeah. That makes sense.
And that's always been the case then from day one. That's always been just the transmission company just tells you what their requirements are, and you make the program accordingly. Then
But they've never told us the number of rounds to put in. They've never told us to put teasers
just give
in
you
there.
timings. Just say we need this, you need a
Timings, yeah, sure.
Mm.
Yeah. The content side is what we do, what we feel like, really. When I say we, it's usually been me over the last few years. But I'll probably get fired after this.
Well, we hope not. No, we hope not. That would
I'm
be a
joking.
terrible start. Terrible start to our live broadcasting career as well. That would be getting you fired. It's not what we want.
I'm joking. I'm kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, there seems to be a good crowd in today for this one.
Yeah.
So,
any more questions from the live chat, James?
Yeah, so there's probably quite an important one that a lot of people kind of want to know, which I'll get onto in a second. But there's one which was asked a bit earlier, which I'm quite keen on knowing about. So if I can get the exact question up here from Ben Wilson.
I can tell you the answer already. It's 4 inches on a good day and 2 inches in the cold.
is this the question Ben always asks?
Yeah.
Ben, you know, is he?
The question is, how much contact was there with the producers of the IT Crowd when they made their countdown episode?
From my point of view,
I suppose so.
It was virtually all done electronically over a computer, and then on the day we filmed it, the guy who Richard, whatever it's called, with the afro,
Richard Iowadi.
Yeah, they just came in and did it.
No.
They used our set, but they had all their own people doing the waving and the shouting and screaming.
Right.
We just sort of let them do it, and then, right, can you get out now? I want to make countdown again.
No, the Countdown Studio is available to rent. Is that what you're saying? If you need it for your own purposes, you can.
It was wasn't it IT Crowd on Channel 4 anyway?
Right,
Yeah, it's a Channel 4 show.
Yeah.
Paul was trying to get ideas, probably.
Yeah, I was just thinking, if I couldn't get
Down ideas.
right, whatever,
So,
great haircut.
we had very little to do with it.
Right.
No, that's quite interesting. Yeah, cheers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in terms of the other question that I think quite a few people have been asking. So the first part of it being, so obviously on sites such as Apterus and so forth, you get quite a lot of people, and on the C4C forum offering their feedback on the show. How many? Do you get feedback from the general public about the show, and how does the general public's thoughts on the show differ from those from Apterites when they're kind of giving their opinions?
I'm not quite. What are Apterites' opinions? I don't know. What are they?
I mean, it's fair enough. I mean, it depends kind of the feedback that you get.
We're more elitist, I would say.
Yeah, from like people
we look after
the show. Perhaps on Apterus, I suppose, if you know specific people from the website who might have given their feedback for the program, if you like in the event that you remembered any of those, do they differ from letters you just get from the general public or emails?
The feedback that we get over a long period of time is so it's everything. It's like a kaleidoscope. You get tell her to shut up, tell her to sit up straight, tell her to stop saying blah, and so it's everything. We just get the whole thing all the way around all the time. It's the same stuff. There's nothing new. That guest's crap, and then the next email will say that guest was great. Rachel's crap. Rachel's great. Jeff's saying crap. Jeff's great. Nick's crap. So it's the whole thing. It's basically the same thing in life. People like stuff. People don't. There's not been a consistent one I can think of where actually you've got a point. Let's change it. It's sort of whinges. And moreover now, which is sad to say because of the Twitter situation and everyone's got access to a thing, a good 50% of our feedback, if you want to call it that, to the show is for people who you really don't want to be reading what they're putting in their emails. It's either racist, it's too politicised, because if Rachel says, Nick said I vote Labour, fucking Tory, the Tory will come and say, and or it's a lot of perverts. Can the camera pull out so we can see Rachel's shoes?
All right, okay.
We get all that. But I can't think of any consistent thing about the program where people say on a negative or a positive. It's just the whole cycle. Good and bad all the time.
I was going to say the Countdowners Facebook group is a little bit of a microcosm of that. Like, not with your final examples there, really. No, we don't have curves and we don't have that kind of crowd, but we do get the I hate that guest and and Rachel missed this number solve and I'm clearly better than her. You get a lot of those kind of people who really shouldn't be posting.
We get those emails about Rachel missing a numbers game, when she does miss one, but I don't call it missing it. And what people don't realise is that in that situation of spewing out those programs day after day after day for a long time, she may miss one on a show when they're sat at home once a day, but if they were in her shoes doing 15 programs over 3 days, she'd beat 99.9% of people.
Brilliant. She is. She's brilliant. She's brilliant. Yeah. I loved being Rachel. She was. I really liked her. She was a very, very, very nice girl as well. And I'm sure, it's sometimes as well. It's probably not her fault. You maybe forget to go back and go to her for the numbers solution as well. Maybe just move on.
No, we never do that. No.
Do you not?
No.
You don't forget stuff. No.
No, we never forget stuff. No. Not like that. If Rachel's got the maths, we go back to it after the teaser. If she hasn't got the maths, we just carry on.
Yeah.
It might look like we forgot it, but if we go back to and say, "All right, Nick, there's the teaser, guys. It was so. No, Rachel. No, I didn't get it, Nick. Sorry, I'm crap."
Yeah, that looks terrible. Yeah, exactly.
No point, So we just crack on, and it's taken as read that she didn't get it because we didn't show her.
Yeah.
So that means I did beat her on that round. That's good. That's good to know then, right? So if you don't go back to her, I definitely did beat her on that round. So if you're watching, if you have beat
on the maths, definitely not on Dictionary Corner, because sometimes we don't go back to Dictionary Corner because we haven't got time. But
I suppose what James's question maybe was asking was how much attention do you pay to the community then as well? I mean, if it was something, has anything ever been changed by what someone said on Opto or someone said online, or someone with a bit of clout, shall we say? Somebody knew what they were talking about. Has that ever happened? No.
I mean, the main bulk of the question was pretty much how, like, if there is any kind of notable difference between those two groups, in terms of people, who practice a lot online. Is there any difference in kind of the feedback they give? But no, it's quite interesting to know that people from the general public pretty much have a complete range of opinions, which feels a bit weird saying that, knowing that, well, if it's the entire country kind of sending things back, of course there's going to be a mix of opinions on things. But no, it's really quite good to know.
DMP fans probably like Countdown as well, you see. You're going to get some of that, really. So
the second part of the kind of question, I suppose, is also going back to Apterus and playing online. Do you think that Apterus has been good for the TV show, or actually a turn-off for average viewers to see Apterus-trained players coming up with many obscure words that they can't possibly compete against?
Good question again. These are very good questions, by
we're glad you see on this program now. We are.
We are good, yes. Do I think it's been good for the TV show? Yes and no. Yes and no. I think what I've enjoyed seeing over the years is that when you guys and the lads, what I call them boys, that apart from Jen, who's like the best female ever to play on Countdown in my mind, but the lads obviously, but you put the effort in. But I think when you do sort of hammer people and get, it's great to see. You think, wow, this kid's very clever and they're brilliant and stuff. I think what might be bad is if they come along like London buses every 5 minutes. It's too much.
Yeah.
It waters down, and then it waters down that sort of special.
Yeah.
That special occasion.
Yeah, sure.
Someone who's bloody amazing at the show, and you do. Yeah, you do. I mean, that's most series you can think of. You'd sort of it'll tick along. It'll maybe tick along, and then there'll be someone amazing.
Yeah.
And I think most of the sort of the for want of a better word, the elite players will. That's the moment they sort of wake up and go, yeah, let's watch this guy. I've never heard of him before, but he's class.
Yeah. So I don't think it's good or bad. I think you can look at it both ways, but people do look at it both ways. We usually get the same feedback, well, not the same sort of suggestions when we had youngsters on in the days of Connor and the little kids that were brilliant, that were like 10 or 12, why have you got that kid on? He's humiliating the adults, Well, too bad, What do you
Great, top telly. That's top telly.
What to do about it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's good or bad. It's just when there's too many, which we try and space people out, but sometimes you get the tail wagging the dog, because it happened recently. There was somebody realised they're going to be up against Sam, and they pulled out. I think, well, do that once, do it twice, and you don't come, mate, because you can't tell us what we're doing.
Yeah.
Well, we're hoping that was genuine. So.
Oh no, great! If it's genuine, fine. But if people try and sort of engineer what they want in life,
well, like something I noticed, Damian. I mean, I'm in the Apto community a year, and I suppose, I joined the day after I applied last year, and I had a few weeks. on Apto. Don't know if it did me much good. Maybe got me a few points. I should have spent that time doing numbers, not bloody letters. But anyway, but I noticed straight away that there were people who knew that I was going on, and other people talking about, will I go on this series? Will I wait? That sort of I don't know, sort of premeditated thing, rather than it should be, I want to be on that TV show. Get me on tomorrow.
Sure.
I mean, maybe waiting. How do you feel about that?
I feel it's well, like in my day, you just turned up. You had no idea what was going on, so you just turned up. So
like you and Callum did. You just turned up. You were bloody good, and you kicked some ass.
Do you want to win Countdown, or do you want to engineer Countdown to win it in the easiest possible way?
Yeah.
Also, what happens at the Champion of Champions? Do you not take part because everyone's good? Where do you draw the line? So I can see why people want to do that and think, well, he's good as well. Well, get better.
Yeah.
This is going to be Series 82. You're going on. What is you're filming those up until when? You give us dates on when you're filming prelim.
So in real time, I think we're doing it mid-October. On TV, it's Friday. The final's Friday, December 18.
But it'll be filmed in October.
I think it's mid-October. The finals.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to be filming prelims right up until then. That's a lot of prelims.
Tell me about it.
So this series is going to be, and you had a good few Octo champs already, and you know, with the rumor mill, we'll not mention any names, but there are other few people mentioned and to come up this series. It's looking like it's going to be super, super stacked.
I think it'd be pretty much. I won't use the word miracle because I don't believe in them. But it's going to be pretty odd if we get less than 9.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, and that was my follow-up question. Can't recall, but I'm assuming Nick learned from last year and says we will see you provisionally in the final this time. Has he said that to every contestant so far?
No, no. What I know what you mean.
Do go, well, we can't say we'll see you in the final anymore. It has to be, well, you know, provisionally.
I think
have 8 wins. Provisionally, we will see you in the final.
Yeah, I think we've not used the word provisionally so far. No,
because I mean that was with in my series with Karina. You know, that it was unfortunate, but it was just the fact that you got 9 Octa champs.
Yeah.
So is there a risk of someone being told we'll see you in the final this year and it'll be the same thing?
I think it may have already happened because when we said to like whoever it was, Fred Blogs, months ago, we'll see you in the finals. We didn't anticipate the COVID thing happening and the series being extended by how many months? I don't know how many months. You know what I mean? So it's pushed them further down the ladder than they would have been.
Yeah.
So it will have happened. Yeah, it will have happened. Yeah. I dare say, but you can't apologise for something you can't forecast, you know.
Oh, of course, no, but it was something that we talked about on our very first podcast, Callum.
Yeah.
Was that so? Karina rule that you're going to have to change that from now on. You can't guarantee. So even if they get 1,000 points and 8 wins, you can't guarantee them a place in the final. You know, like in previous years, you would have been able to guarantee them. Yes, you know.
Yeah.
We'll see you there.
Yeah.
So.
I've got a couple more fun quick-fire questions that people have asked me to put to you. Then maybe we'll take another from the chat. And then there's one big one that you're probably sick of hearing, but everyone wants me to ask it, so we'll get round to that in time. But yeah, there's a few fun quick-fire questions people wanted to know. Was which contestant do you remember being the biggest drinker in the pub?
It's a badge of honour.
In the pub?
Yeah, or in the studio, wherever they happen to drink.
It's
a
real drinker. If they were doing it in the studio, that's a real one.
Okay, God, this is wow.
Jamie didn't prepare this question. Why not? I thought you did.
No, that's all right. But when you say I remembered, was I there?
Well, you can answer yourself if that's the answer.
Certainly not me. There was a chap. Am I allowed to say his name, or is it not good to say his name?
I think as long as you're being complimentary of their drinking prowess and not saying they've got a problem, I think it's okay.
The chap who was a contestant who had in studio all day, all night, and then the next day when he came back for his more shows and the finals, a metal
hip flask.
Hip flask, yeah. And
that's a drinker.
Yeah, but if he'd have walked past a lit cigarette, it'd have been flambéed to death, you know, because it was pretty bad. Yeah, it was pretty bad. But in terms of the Moose Line's a good pint. You know, Moose Ross.
Oh, really? Yeah.
A few skinfuls. Blimey, I can't actually think because to witness it, I'd have had to be there. And if I'd have been there, I'd have been 10 pints of everybody else anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I know certainly from my experience, I know Paul James and Glenn Webb can certainly put them away.
James. Yeah, sure, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You looked a bit fragile that day on the telly, Callum, your last appearance. I didn't think it was the full Callum Todd we were getting.
Oh, that was the Champion of Champions, wasn't it? Oh, yeah, that was Paul James singing football chants in the, was it called the Dockyard, the pub at...
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Paul James singing football chants and Glenn Webb. I won't tell you what Glenn Webb was asking me. It's probably not appropriate for broadcast. But, one other question people wanted to ask you, Davey, was have you any interest in maybe playing Countdown again, like televised? And if so, who would you like to play?
None whatsoever.
Fair, yeah.
If I never go in front of a TV screen again, it won't be too soon.
Fair enough.
No, when I played that thing with the Hyper with you,
yeah,
I felt like a nervous wreck. I felt like I was sort of being caught on trial. It was really weird. Yeah, I didn't enjoy it one bit.
That was what I was going for. I was going for that. I'm glad it worked.
It was pretty scary. I thought, God, this is terrible. But no, I don't want to be on TV again, mate. No, I don't even like seeing myself on the CCTV in Morrison's. You know?
Especially when you're nicking stuff from
that's in the security office, isn't it? Yeah, nobody likes that. No, when they drag you in there, yeah, no one likes that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Have we got any more questions jumping out at you from the live chat, James?
I'm going to be putting you in the series. I'm going to be putting you in as an entrant in the next series regular Zoom down, Damian. Is that all right?
Do what you want, mate. Yeah,
Oh, nice. Okay, this one.
I suppose this is.
Change his mind.
I'll play.
Okay. I suppose it's more of a yes/no question, this one, but do the number of applications drop when someone like Elliot Mellor, for example, goes on? So when you have like a Super Genius go on, do you find that the number of applications tends to fall a little bit?
Or Luke.
Or Luke, yeah, Luke, our current number one.
Massive scores. I wouldn't think so.
No, I don't believe that at all. I think it's consistent all year round.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never noticed. No one's ever said to me, "We're not getting people coming in because of that." But no, don't believe so.
You notice spikes in them.
With this whole COVID thing, yeah, there was a massive spike in applications because people thought, "I've got nothing to do. We're on TV all the time, and no one can go out." So they thought, "Oh, I'll have a go at that." Maybe people who wouldn't watch the show normally because they can't get out of the house, you know.
Do you notice were there any spikes from previous players? Are there anyone that has inspired a sort of spike in applications?
No, I can't say so because I've never, it sounds like I'm derelict, but it's not really been something that I'm keeping on top of as other people that do that.
I know from my own experience, it's like, yeah, James Houghton, probably just watching him kick ass kind of made me kind of go, yeah, finally, right, I'll do it. Right, give me the application form and I'll fill it out. I'll fill it out this second. That kind of thing. Just enough, sometimes just enough to get you interested in someone good that you see, And he was brilliant. He had a great run. So,
definitely.
Yeah, then the big question that you're probably sick of being asked, I'm sure you get asked it all the time and you don't necessarily have the answer. But I think at least 6 people have asked me to put this to you, and I think I've seen it in the live chat as well. A lot of people want to know, will there be a 40th birthday championship like you did for the 30th birthday?
Crikey. I don't mind being asked that at all. Okay. 40th birthday, so that's 2022?
22, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do something. I don't know what we'll do. We'll have to celebrate 40 years one way or another.
Yeah.
I'm not one to plan too far ahead because it's even like with most of the work I've got to do, I always leave it as late as possible. Otherwise, you don't get, you want the sort of adrenaline and you have to focus on it now. If it's right in your face, you've got to do it. Yeah. Whereas if I plan too far ahead, it's like,
you can't focus on the next series, really. You're only on it's only on the one you're working on, isn't it? Really,
We'll do definitely for 40 years. We'll do something. I don't know what it'll be because I even talked about when I spoke to Richard Digest the other day. I talked about maybe it'd be nice to bring back some really old Dictionary Corner guests that haven't been seen for decades.
Yeah.
Just to
still living? Is he still going?
Very good. I've no idea, mate. To be honest,
does he still go?
Still go. I don't know, but that's one sort of just working out little ideas, but just thoughts. But in terms of the contest, we'll do something.
What's the actual 40th? What is the date of the 40th anniversary? When was Countdown first broadcast in Eadie?
November 2nd.
November.
Yeah.
November 2nd, right?
Yeah.
So that you would think something. I mean, it was the first program on Channel 4. You'd think Channel 4 themselves will be really marking that occasion. Did they at the 30th? I mean, were they doing stuff at the 30th, or was it more?
No,
they did.
I got when we were 30. Some people at Channel 4 that I communicate with on the emails sent a little what's it called? Not an emoji. What's that that moves on like a GIF? Like hurrah and stuff. And the guys at ITV, the guy that runs Emmerdale, bought us some cupcakes. But other than that, there was no big noise. No, I mean, so what? 30 years, 31? No, I don't think so. But we'll definitely do something. I'm not sure it'll be on the scale of the 30th birthday championship in terms of dominating weeks and weeks and weeks of shows. But
some people were concerned that maybe if you put it on that it would be this sort of too many of the same people from the 30th to make it a unique event. If you get me, you know what I mean.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, but we can work something out. But I'm not sure it'd be 6. What was the 30th birthday? 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks,
something like that. Yeah.
So it might be a week or a fortnight or something, a bit smaller scale, but top stuff, and maybe a tweak in the format, maybe something a bit different,
Yeah.
Marathon drums.
Well, yeah,
I don't know. Maybe maybe 10 letters, maybe. I haven't thought of it,
Yeah.
I haven't thought of it.
10 letters would be excellent. I'd love that.
Yeah,
and I know on the conundrums, I know Jack Hurst has been asking me to ask you about the conundrums and whether you ever think you might experiment with different formats of conundrums, whether it's 10 letters or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's always scope for doing stuff like that.
Is that easier to do now with your new CGI board? Can you just can you put in 12 if you wanted on that? Easy enough as an easy tweet.
We could do, but they'd have to. I think they'd have to lessen the size of the squares.
Yeah,
to get 12 inch.
That's something we should probably just flag up there, because I don't think everyone watching this will be aware of that. So, do you want to tell us about the changes to the conundrum board that are coming?
Yeah, sure. We finished our last block of studio. Well, our last when I made this in my head, it was at March 1. We got sent home because of COVID, and then not coming back to work for a while. Then April came, and we just sort these repeats out and things. And then I thought, finally, you've got some time to sort of think, what can you do now? Because normally it's like rush. So I had a bit of time to think. And I thought, I was watching some shows we'd made that we'd edited, and we had a bad spell of the conundrum was revealed. The guys that put I'm not decrying the people, but they put the letters in the frame. Not always straight, crooked, not flush to the board, not pushed in properly. And then when you reveal it, it looks wonky and scruffy. Or sometimes the S is upside down. And it's like, oh God, guys, come on.
It was physically moving around, wasn't it?
Yeah, moving around. And a lot of times we had to do a retake because the lights weren't right on it, because the lighting guy had fallen asleep or got bored or had gone to the shops or whatever he was doing. And I just found that what's really simple in the studio to make, it was taking us far too long to redo it. And it was
10 minutes. I timed it. 10 minutes it took.
It was taking do my editing. So I just thought, okay, this is what we're going to do now. We're going to do it. I'll ask if we can, get rid of the prop, because the prop needed fixing. No one's got to put letters in. Those countdown towers are 15 quid each. So when you need a spare set for a conundrum, and they get scratched and thrown around, they're getting bought like confetti with sweets, just wasting money on those. So I thought also I wanted to be able to change the conundrum if I wanted to as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So if we've got 100 in the computer bank, I can say to the guy, let's make this one number 65, and number 65 might be an absolute bastard.
Yeah,
it might be an easy one.
Yeah, plus say you've got a 9-letter word set as the conundrum. I don't know. Say you've got retailing or whatever as the conundrum. I don't know if that's a valid conundrum, but let's say it is. And then round 13, the letters are on, and retailing comes up for 9 letters.
Yeah.
And you've already got that loaded in the conundrum board.
Yeah.
Bit of a.
Weren't there some pulled as well for COVID because you'd already put them in as well? They were virulence or something like that, wasn't there? Not something.
That wasn't part of the thought process. No, it was just to stop it being. It was just, I say, we're wasting too much time. We want to get home, mate. Long days, and you're thinking you've got to put 9 letters in a frame in the right order, and it was beyond some people. And I thought, I can't have this anymore.
That's nice and convenient for you now as well. Then, do you have control over that, or is someone downstairs still controlling it?
In terms of
the CGI conundrums.
No, the locked into the. I call it a computer. There's probably a posh name for it. And when Nick will go, so fingers on buzzers, everybody. Time for this crucial countdown conundrum. And as soon as he said the word conundrum, it's revealed, because that's when he presses the clock.
Yeah.
So it's more or less in sync with each other.
He doesn't perform something that is automatically synced. It's you doing it at the same time.
We do that at the same time, yeah. Because sometimes Nick doesn't press the clock, and we've turned it over, and we're going, start the clock, Nick. What? Oh, and then they've had like 45 seconds to get the answer. That too.
Yeah.
We fixed all that in the edits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Have we got any more questions from the chat, James, or do we want to wind it down with some of the light-hearted stuff we were thinking of?
I think I think we've got one more. So, in relating to talking about conundrums, how does going about the difficulty of conundrums, or rather, how does it go in terms for the finals? When you're picking conundrums, how do you go about kind of deciding the difficulty for them, or just deciding them in general, I suppose?
It varies, but of the last few years, I would endeavour to look through Apterus look at the people who played on it, and if they'd got one I had in mind this morning in practice, I'd take it out because I thought it was probably a bit of a killer. I didn't want people to buzz in, not because it means anything to me, because to give everyone a chance at home. People will get nothing better a kick out of life than beating James Rowan and Callum and Paul at home. They want to do it. I want to play quizzes at home and beat the smartest on TV. So they want to have a chance at doing it. So jabbing after 1 second in a semi-final or a final, don't really want it. I want everyone to have a go at it, just because it's the top thing.
Yeah.
So I'd look on Apterus. If the ones I've got in mind were played it, you all had it 30 times each, I'd ditch it. In terms of difficulty, I'd say, well, you're all brilliantly bright and intelligent and stuff. And if you don't get it at home, in the studio, I guarantee someone somewhere in the country at home will have got it.
Yeah.
People gave me some shit for Shotcrete. I bet there's 1,000 builders merchants who saw that word and got it.
Shotcrete, it was tough. That very tough.
It depends where your area of knowledge is, doesn't it? I know on Zoom Down the other week, what was it, Spyro Gyro or something?
Yeah, sure.
Lots of people saying that's ridiculous and difficult. Some of the really good countdown players saying that's stupidly hard. And then some people going, well, if you did, but if you read this biology textbook at school in the 80s, then everyone knows what that is. So it's
it was on the curriculum. So
it depends on your experience and your expertise, I suppose.
They were a 70s folk band as well, Spyro Gyro.
Were they?
Yeah, I think someone might have mentioned something along the lines.
Okay, so I knew that, but that means nothing. But the difficulty is there's an answer, there's 9 letters, and it's not a trick question. So if you could get it.
Yeah, the answer is self-contained, isn't it? Really, it's in there. Yeah, you just have to unscramble it.
I
find some of them got very hard for the COCs, things like that. Sometimes they did seem to go up a level.
Okay, that's fair enough.
But how would you, was there any thought process behind that? Were you intent on, well, these guys are really good players, it has to be a more difficult one?
My whole thing in doing these is, I know you guys are shit hot, right? And you're brilliant, and you're really undersold in how good what you do at. And that I don't want you to get a simple one, a buzz after a second. I want people to look for 10 seconds, you get it, and everyone go, wow,
Yeah.
And then it makes you look even better.
Yeah.
So it's about, I've said to myself, I've got faith that you're good enough to get these words, so prove it by getting them. And I had nothing better than when I've smiled my head off at people when they've got it in the finals and thought, wow, good lad, that's my boy. And it's brilliant. It gives me a buzz because I know that not only have you won, you've shown people that you are actually as good as you should be because you've won the final and you've proved every little bit of it,
Mm-hmm.
So if they do go up a level, it's because I want you to prove to people how good you are.
Yeah.
I don't want to win.
Are you not disappointed? Because I know I am when folk don't get them. And you go, was it a bad one I set or something like that? When you make it, when it is a hard one and it goes unsolved, I'm disappointed with that. Because I want them to get it.
I want them to get it, definitely. Yeah, I love people getting it, but I prefer it being 15, 20 seconds where you actually remember Sleep Suit with Innes Carson and
Chris Davies, I think.
Yeah, but that was brilliant. That was like sort of the thing I mean. It was like, God, and then they get it.
That's a tough solve.
Yeah.
Sleep Suit.
It's that sort of thing. But they do go up a level in terms of difficulty, because they've got to. Because you're champion of champions, you're not just, you're not playing tipping point.
Yeah.
Tabbouleh, right? What about Tabbouleh? Do you not think that favoured the Greek? Slightly more than...
That's God words of truth. Never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
It never crossed my mind when I did that, because I think I'd eaten it.
Yeah.
I saw it, and I can't.
Yeah.
And then it never crossed my mind about Dinos. Never crossed my mind in a million years. Otherwise,
he'd literally eaten it about 3 weeks or something for the first time ever. I think he had done the same. He had eaten it in a restaurant for the first time. I know that word. It's Tabbouleh. Yes.
So there's a little pro tip there. If you want to get your countdown final conundrum, just make sure you ask Damian what he's been eating the past few days.
Yeah. Any good restaurants you recommend, Damian? Can I send
jambalaya or stroganoff or something?
I'm actually really cross with myself now.
Food is tough, but food is tough. Food words are really. I think food words are very, very, very hard.
Yeah, I'm really cross about that.
Spanish, you can speak Spanish or anything, but and you go to Spain, the words you don't understand are all the food. because they use their own local word for food, and that's the. Do you not find so that food is a very sort of separate discipline in Countdown? Probably a good field of studies if you want to be a top player. Learn all your food nines.
Yeah, sure. I'm gutted that I didn't pick up on that Greek connection.
No, I don't think anyone did, but me did. So you're all right. It's just me and my eagle eye.
Yeah, I don't think that made a massive difference.
No, it didn't. It was a ridiculously hard word, and I mean, like I say, Dinos if it had been filmed 3 weeks earlier, Dinos wouldn't have known it either.
Well, maybe as a family meal. I don't know. If it had crossed my mind, I'd have took it out definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an interesting one. But,
so there's two other things we wanted to get to, I think, before we wrap it up. There was we wanted to talk a bit about Zoom Down because that's just finished, and there was some fun pictures we wanted to go through. Which do you think we should go through first, Paul? What would you like to do?
Well, it's up to you. I mean, Damian, you were a big fan of Zoom Down. Thankfully, I mean I appreciate that. I mean, having your support in that I did think lent it an air of sort of officiality and getting a good stamp of approval. Okay. But it's been brilliant. I was like Fiona. We were you understand why rock stars do hard drugs and stuff, because Friday me and Fiona were both a little bit suicidal. I think we had used up all our endorphins on Thursday night, and it was amazing. It was just such a high, such a natural high that Friday it was pissing with rain here as well. It was like, oh. And Fiona was still on her dry July, so she couldn't even tuck into a bottle of wine to restore some of the lost endorphins. But what did you make of it overall?
Great concept and really nice to see people play real. Good to watch. I enjoyed watching it. I thought it was really good. I thought it was really, really good, and I have no faults about it whatsoever. Obviously, it's got a lot better as it's gone along. But no, it's decent, really good. I don't know what else to say really. It's taken the actress thing to a different dimension.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I wanted to do, was to sort of well, I mean, when I joined this community a year ago, and I was like, I was very lucky to meet the right crowd. When you guys invited me over for the final, when Karina couldn't make it, and you guys said, "Well, give Paul Anderson a ring," and I came over for the final, it was just absolutely perfect, because I got to meet Callum and James and Elliot and Luke and all those ones we watched. And we watched Luke filming, and they were just a great crowd. And I suppose I just wanted to show how sociable everybody was.
Yeah.
Which was kind of against the kind of the sort of thinking, the sort of community thinking was like, oh, we're not sociable people, or we're not, maybe we are a bit nerdy and stuff. And I thought, well, we're not. There's a lot of very sociable, interesting people here, and I think that's kind of shown it off. And I suppose it was a criticism of the TV show as well, that I thought Nick doesn't focus on the game or on the players as much as Richard Whiteley ever did. And I think Richard Whiteley made the players the stars. He spent the first few minutes of every show chatting to the players and really making sure that you got a flavor for who the players were.
Yeah, sure.
What do you think of that? I think Nick is Nick, and he has a very good relationship with Rachel, and they kind of buzz off each other in that opening segment. But I thought that maybe the players could have got a little bit more love.
I don't disagree with you at all. But given that we've got 8 minutes of part one, and you've got to say hi to the two contestants. Well, the guy that comes back from yesterday, that's quite sure.
Yeah.
I think he does more in the recording, but we have to take it out for the final thing.
I noticed that. Yeah, I was like, there was things it just wasn't. It wasn't cut, or the little things that I said didn't make the final edit.
No, we haven't got the time, Paul. I mean, as you know, the movable face with the numbers. You get it one way, the other chap gets it another way, both one off. Then Rachel's got to do her answer. That's 3 solutions.
Yeah,
it's an easy one. There's no solution. You just go yeah, and you've got 60 seconds in hand then. So it's so movable. But 8 minutes at the start doesn't help at all, because you just got to fly through it like like crazy.
Yeah, exactly. You say, sorry, go on ahead, Callum. Sorry.
I'd definitely like to hear more of more stuff from other people. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Callum?
That's good. Yeah, so it's just good to see how Zoom Down has sort of like reinvigorated a lot of people's interest in the game, especially at the moment with the TV show not being off air because we've had the replays of the old episodes, but with no new episodes being shown, I think a lot of people have turned to Zoom Down for that, and it sort of kept people's interest going until the new episodes return to the screen. So.
I couldn't have asked for any more, Callum. It was if we are looking at a series 2, but if the way I always planned it was that if this was it, if this was just the one, then I wanted as many people that I liked, as many good players as I could have on this one series, and try and make it as perfect as possible. And it just everything went better than I've ever experienced. I mean, I've been in Barons and stuff, and you're working towards making something quite rough, and you're trying to smooth off the edges and try and get it better and better and better every episode. And bands are very much like that. You play 10 gigs in the hope that your 10th will be that one where you all just nail it and you kick ass. And I thought we did that on the final. I thought we nailed it.
Yeah.
I thought we nailed it when we had to. I thought your episode, Damian, with the Hyper was a very, very good episode. It flowed very well. There was good banter between all of us.
That was voyeurism because everyone wanted to see me get the crap kicked on me by Callum.
But that was part of it, I think. But it's that social thing as well. I think when you get the right mix of people in a conversation, it can be really good and can be very interesting.
It was great fun. I can't praise you guys enough for it. And I've said that before, and I'll say it again. And I'm not, saying anything disingenuously. It's a really good move, I think, and I keep watching it as much as I can. And I really enjoy it. Yeah, it's good fun.
Yeah. It was a lot of luck. We got the right people. Definitely, all the right people. Including yourself, Callum. I know you left because you had other stuff to do and stuff. But I mean, James is amazing, Fiona amazing, Mouse. Everyone's just good at what they do, and that's what you want. And you can trust people. The same with you, Damien. You're working with people a long number of years, and probably you trust people to get on with their job and do it to a high standard.
Yeah.
And that very, very much worked. And I thought, did you enjoy seeing Alan Saldana?
I did, yeah. That was really strange. But like I said before on this thing, for me, like being around for so long, and then everyone's just sort of getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and in some cases heavier and bolder and all that. It's like wow. It's really great, but it's strange. But it's a good thing. It's like little children growing up.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah. But I love seeing Alan Saldana. Yeah, bless him.
And he had a lot to say. He had a lot to say on the age. The age profile that you're allowed to go for these days, and he was as shocked as I was initially that you're not allowed under 16s. And did you appreciate his comments on that?
I didn't, because I didn't appreciate them because I didn't hear them, because about 15 minutes into the thing, I had to leave.
Oh right, I was wondering why you disappeared from the chat. So you haven't finished watching that then, yeah?
No, I've only seen about. It was 5 or 10. It wasn't in 15 minutes. I think it was 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, because we had a good chat with him about the whole, about prodigies and how they inspired me. And people, when Connor Traver was on, I'm sure there was a spike in applications, and I'm sure you don't have the stats for it, but just those people that do inspire you and make you want to go on this amazing game that we all play. Yeah. Maybe age isn't the determinant, but just extreme talent. Seeing the likes of Elliot or Luke, and they're not little 12-year-old boys, but they're young fellas, who are amazing.
Sure. Just to qualify, I didn't leave on purpose. I had to leave. It was something that came completely out of the blue.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, I think Zoom Down is like the latest example of what the community can produce to keep bringing people together and keep the interest there in the game. Because it is quite kind of crazy how big not necessarily how big, but how dedicated the small community is to the game, with Apterus and the forum, and now we've got Zoom Down as well.
And we have this, Callum, as well.
This podcast, the events that hopefully will start again soon.
How have folk, maybe put that question to the chat, how have folk enjoyed this format today? Do they think it is a good format? We're hoping to do Charlie Reams this way as well.
Yeah, we're hoping to speak to him next.
Damien, because I'm sure, like the rest of us, I'm sure you have as many questions for Charlie as the rest of us do about Apterus. I mean, it's Apterus, this big beast of a machine. And Charlie is a sort of seems to be quite a private chap. I don't know much about him at all. You know, he's avoided most of my invitations. But
No, he's a good lad.
he accidentally saw the last one and said yes, so that's it. He can't back out now.
Yeah.
He's a good lad. He's put a lot of work in over the years. He's a decent boy.
Absolutely.
As Callum was saying, there was money attached to it. I sent it in when I was asking him about my resubscription. So I was renewing at the same time as inviting him.
Yeah,
So.
you sent him some money with a little note attached asking about the podcast. That was
It's like, I'll pay you 23 quid to do a podcast. Come on.
Yeah, your check's in the post, by the way, Damian. It might be a bit slow, but
That's all right.
yeah.
Don't know if it'll be 23. We might not have to say.
We didn't have anyone negotiating for you like you did for Richard Whiteley. So
No, that's okay. I'm happy to just be. Forget it.
Yeah.
Fine.
Obviously, Charlie created the C4 Countdown forum as well, and I think we wanted to, before we close today, look at some from the highlights of that forum over the years. The lookalikes thread. I don't know if you've ever browsed that, Damian, where people try and find.
I have seen one or two, yeah, but not. I don't sort of obsess over it, you know.
Yeah.
I've seen it, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I know people try and find like celebrities or whatever who look a lot like members of the Countdown community, and there's been some really good ones on there over the years. We were just talking the other day about our favourites. We're hoping to share some of them with you today.
We got some examples of those to show then, James.
He's the yes. If I can get my OBS thing up, so I'll have to change. My camera will go off for a second.
That's all right.
Yeah. So James is going to show us some of the examples of the best ones.
Indeed, at least it should be. If it wasn't playing up a little bit.
Oh, it's technology, sure. We're getting used to it. It takes a little bit.
It's all right. I can just put my camera back in again.
Yeah, that was while James is getting that ready. I know you asked Paul, to the people in the chat, if they've been enjoying this format, and a lot of people have been saying they've enjoyed it. It's been great. Graham has given us some detailed feedback. He said that in the past he's been one of the people who's felt that the podcasts are a bit too long, maybe to go on for a while. But he says this one, because there's a bit of audience participation, it's sort of a shared experience. Yeah. You're not just sat on your own doing your ironing or whatever, listening to it. It's more of a communal experience for everyone because everyone knows you're watching and listening at the same time. He's really enjoyed that. He thinks the shared experience and taking questions from the audience has really added to it. And that's what we were hoping for, because we think that's what you've achieved with Zoom Down. People seem to think that it's helped this podcast as well.
Well, that's good. That is what we want, and we're going to try and make it more media. Maybe if we can get more shared media and that kind of stuff, and learn to do all that. And because I think it does. It does. We've all learned to use Zoom over this period, and it's I think it's forced a lot of people's hands. A lot of people weren't comfortable with this format. But they have had their hand forced, really, and they've had to sort of learn to get used to their ugly mug, looking back at their webcam from them,
Yeah.
So
speaking of ugly mugs, do we have any of the lookalike photos ready to?
One of me on here.
How are we getting, James? How are we getting on?
Yeah, we're fine. Okay, so we'll put that up now. So having just a completely black screen for this little bit felt a little bit odd. So shameless plug and having the logo in the background. Okay, so
website,
So I guess for a little bit of light-hearted relief in the last bit, we've got some kind of lookalike photos, kind of notable figures that we've seen grace our screens, whether it be from the normal Countdown episodes or Zoom Down over the last couple of times. And where better to start than our incumbent Zoom Down champion and I suppose 30th birthday champion Connor Travers in, I think Mark Deeks found this the other day. I'm not sure entirely where this was from, but I think it was.
Which one's Connor?
It's a while ago I put this up. I can't remember. It's all a blur. But no, it's I think he said Veruca Salt.
Yeah, I don't know myself. Apparently, it's a band called Veruca Salt.
But that's the one on the right. Yeah. I just think that was really clever. I found that quite
very good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good one.
I think who have we got up? I can't remember who we've got second. I think coming up second, we may have. It's either for Graham Cole or for Chris Wills.
Let's see.
Notable contestants. Okay, so we have Series 65 champion Graham Cole on the left, doing his recursive photo he does at the Lincoln event every year. obviously not this year. And on the right, we appear to also have him delivering the finale to a concerto for a Scottish orchestra.
Talented man, isn't he? He's a very talented man.
Very, very multi-talented, and it turns out more than just tech, but also very musically gifted as well. I think the name of the person on the right, I think, Callum, did we say we found out it was like Stefan Jack?
I was trying to look at it, and I think it's a guy called Stefan Jacki. I'm not sure how to pronounce his surname. It's Jack, J-A-C-K-I-W. Yeah, he's a very talented violinist and a bit of a Graham Cole lookalike.
So, and then yes, we move on after that to another big name from the show, Chris Wills, paying a remarkable resemblance to Cyril McDuff from Father Ted.
That's very good. He's a ringer, isn't he? He's a complete ringer.
Yeah,
he's even got a priest expression kind of on his face as well, there, isn't it? It's very.
Yeah, I could see if you switch the outfits on both of them, I think the photo would still fit quite well.
Quite well. Yeah.
Father Wills.
Father Wills. The name also fits. Next up, I think we either got. So we've got two more. Okay, so the next one, I think I think Philip Aston, who's in our chat, is a big motorsport fan, and there are quite a few other motorsport fans as well. Yeah. So we have young Sebastian Vettel looks remarkably like Hugh Binney.
Who's Hugh Binney? Who is Hugh Binney? I don't know this person, Hugh Binney. Who's that?
Yeah, Hugh Binney was quite a notable figure in the Countdown circuit, at least. I'm not sure about on the TV, but I know he was around co-events and Apterus for a long while.
He's been on All My Connect recently.
Not Japanese game show or something there.
I'm not sure what show he's actually appearing on in that photo. I know that he, in recent years, he kind of went a little bit viral because in one of the university challenge questions, there was a question that said, for the starter for 10, if today is Monday, then what day will it be in 100 days' time? And he buzzed in immediately with Wednesday. And Paxman goes, oh, how did you do that? And he kind of shrugs and kind of slightly smugly goes, oh, it's just modular arithmetic. And everyone listening who didn't know what modular arithmetic was, it's like, oh, get this guy.
Yeah.
Times 7 plus 2.
Yeah. Multiple of 7.
Yeah. And last but not least, which I think is probably... There are some of these which can be quite good lookalikes if you get them at the right angle, but if you get them at another angle, you don't really quite see the resemblance. I think the last one in... Mark Tornoff and Jose Mourinho, or Jose Mourinho rather.
He's very like
work at nearly any angle.
From any angle, mate. Any angle.
But even more so, I think, on his first appearance as well. So I think that's the 30th birthday that you're seeing there on the left. But yeah, on his first appearance on the show, looked a lot more like it. And
right on that, because watching that back was, I said to the Facebook group, I was like, God, there's a bang of Mourinho off him. And then just as I said it, Rachel said something similar to him on the show. Which was like, oh, you're very like Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
In other words, I fancy you, because like it was at the time every woman in the world fancied Mourinho. Remember when Mourinho first came to Chelsea? Didn't like my missus never shut up about him. Like all my other girlfriends were just like, yeah, Mourinho. Like Clooney-esque at the time. He was hotter than hot. So I'm sure Mark got his fair share of fan mail from that.
It certainly provided some highlights over the years, that forum thread. I know to this day people still call me Bundy because when I was that age I looked like Ted Bundy's yearbook photo. I know James, when Damian was on Zoom Down earlier this year, he said you looked a bit like a young Rick Astley.
Rick Astley.
Rick Astley, that's right. Yeah, we have.
That has since featured as well.
Yeah. I don't know which is worse, Rick Astley or Ted Bundy. It depends on your taste, I suppose.
Well, it was Damian called you Rick Astley, wasn't it? Yeah. That's
right. I've been likened to Rick Astley a couple of times. Yeah, say like back when my dad was my age, like he used to be able to do a spot-on impersonation of Rick Astley and looked a lot like him as well. He used to wear like the same
turtleneck jumpers and stuff.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Yeah.
Right, well, it is 6 minutes past 6, 6:06. Wasn't that a famous football show? 6:06, wasn't it?
Yeah, the 6:06 phone. Yeah.
I'd say we'll wrap it up from there. Thanks very much to everyone. Thanks to our special guest, Damian Eadie. Thanks for the pleasure of your company this past 2 hours.
Yeah, pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, really appreciate you taking the time to join us.
No, it's good fun, yeah. Good fun.
Thanks very much to everyone in the crowd tonight. Thanks for this afternoon. Thanks for playing along.
Yeah, thank you for all your questions.
And for all your questions, indeed. and hopefully this has proven to be a good, successful format that we could employ going forward.
Yeah.
So we have coming up, we will have Charlie Reams next month, date to be organised, and then probably soon after that we'll try and get on to Alan Saldana as well. So A-listers all round, Damian, at the moment.
Brilliant. Yeah, just make sure that they wear a nappy when they come on, because I'm badly soiled now.
Well, they can't see it as well. Like, we don't.
That's all right.
Yeah. We've all learned a lot about Countdown and Damian's history with it and his vast experience with it. Like I said, he's covered about, what, 2/3, 3/4, somewhere between that, of all Countdown episodes ever made. I've got Damian's fingerprints on them, so yeah.
Mate, what a legacy.
Definitely filled in a lot of blanks. I mean, it's good. It's good to have an archive chat about these kind of things, and you're a big figure in our community, and long may it last. Hopefully, you can get through this series and give us a great finals to look forward to.
Yeah, we will, don't we?
Yep.
We'll do.
But anyway, we'll leave it there. So, Callum,
Yep.
get ready to hit that big stop button.
Sure.
If we can find it.
Will do.